Hey there, my friend. Quick note. If posting to social media has started to feel like a tax you pay to run your business, my book, The Social Media Burnout Cure, is for you. Get on the launch list at socialmediaburnoutbook.com. Now, on to the episode. You've heard work-life balance your whole career. Set limits on your work hours, protect your personal time, and keep those two buckets separate. But what if that's creating more problems than it's solving? Welcome to Ditch the Chaos. I'm Cara, Chace, and this is your space to figure out how to run your life and business without running yourself into the ground. Today, we're talking about whole life balance, what that means, why the old work versus everything else framework keeps failing you, and 10 practical ways to start bringing your whole life into harmony. Let's get to it. Even though everyone talks about work-life balance, the problem is in the name. It assumes your life fits into two neat boxes, a work box and a life box. Balance them perfectly. Easy, right? But when has your life ever looked like that? You're answering emails in the school pickup line while another mom is asking if you can chair the spring fundraiser. You nail a big client project and have to cancel lunch with a friend. You finally take a Saturday off and spend the whole day feeling guilty about your inbox. You feel like you can't win. And it's because aiming for balance fools you into thinking that version of perfection is attainable. Work-life balance sets you up to feel like you're constantly failing in at least one area. And when you're context switching between those two boxes all day, every day, it ruins your ability to think clearly, make good decisions, and actually get things done that are important to you. What you need instead is whole life balance, which is less about splitting your time perfectly and more about asking, how does all of this fit together in a way that actually works for me? That's a completely different question and goal, and it changes how you think about your time, energy, and attention. So today's episode is about 10 things that actually move the needle here and how to start reframing this goal. And I want to start with the one that most people skip. Before you can balance anything, you need to see everything. Most of us are walking around with an invisible mental load. Every obligation, open to-do, recurring appointment, and background worry living rent-free in our heads, which is exhausting before you've even started your day. So tip number 1 is doing a brain dump. Everything on your plate goes onto paper or sticky notes or your digital notes on your phone or project management app. Obligations, meetings, open loops, stuff you've been meaning to do for the last 3 weeks, all of it. Personal and work. Don't organize it yet, just get it out. You'll probably find you need to take a couple cracks at this, meaning you'll get out a whole bunch of stuff the first time you sit down, and then you need to step away for a bit and more will bubble up. Keep whatever you're using to get it all down handy. Once it's in front of you, instead of rattling around in your head, 2 things are going to happen. First, you'll see a few things you can just straight up delete or hand off to somebody else. Second, everything that's left becomes way less overwhelming because now it's just a list you can work with and sort instead of a nebulous fog you're trying to swim through. So the brain dump is your starting line here and everything else builds on it. Okay, tip number 2, we're going to talk about boundaries. Once you can see what you're working with that brain dump, the next piece is getting intentional about what gets your time and energy and what doesn't. Boundaries in the context of whole life balance aren't just about not answering Slack after 6 p.m. They're about protecting the things that matter most across every area of your life. Sleep, family time, hobbies that make you feel like a human and not just a business owner, all of it. Start by identifying your non-negotiable, the things that you're not willing to sacrifice, and put them in your calendar. Block 6 to 8 p.m. as personal or family time. Build in the hours you need to sleep, turn off work notifications during those windows, and set app timer limits on your phone. Here's a great bonus for you that might just change your life. Block at least 30 minutes, I like an hour, every single day as white space. Not lunch, not I'll scroll through Instagram during this time. Just do nothing time. Rest, reflect, or something you enjoy with no tasks attached. This buffer time is the key to not feeling completely overwhelmed and super busy every day. That white space sounds indulgent until you realize it's what keeps you functional to show up for your life in the best way. On to tip number 3, which is about time management. Here's where I want to push back a little on how most people think about time management, because it's not just about fitting more into your workday. It's about making intentional choices about where your time and energy go across your whole life. My favorite approach to this is theme day planning, where you group similar tasks together on the same day instead of jumping between completely different kinds of work all day. Client work on one day, content creation on another, admin on another, a completely unplugged rest day. Less context switching means less mental drain and cognitive overload. When you try this and it doesn't work perfectly the first time, that's completely normal. Take a look at why it broke down. Was it the wrong day for that type of work? Did something interrupt? Make one small tweak for next week. You're building a system that fits your life, not copying someone else's, and that takes practice and trying the thing before you know exactly how it will work. This is actually the core of what I teach inside Chaos Detox, building your own planning system around your actual energy in life, not a template that assumes your week is predictable. If you want to go deeper on this, I'll drop the link in the show notes. Okay, on to tip number 4 about weekly reflection. Whole life balance isn't a thing you set up once and then it just runs perfectly. Your life changes, your priorities shift, school schedules happen. What worked in September might not work in January. That's why a short weekly reflection made such a difference. 15 minutes at the end of the week to ask yourself, what felt off? Where was I stretched too thin? Was there something I said yes to that I shouldn't have? What day worked really well and what was I doing on that day? What do I want to do differently next week? This is also where energy mapping comes in. Learning what times of day you do your best thinking versus when you're more depleted. If theme days or time blocking haven't clicked for you, it might be because you are scheduling hard cognitive work during low energy windows. Knowing your patterns and planning around them is a game changer. The weekly reflection isn't about judging yourself. It's about fine-tuning. Small adjustments consistently made add up to a life that really works for you and feels good. Okay, on to tip number 5. Self-care is infrastructure. And I know that self-care has become kind of a loaded term, so let me be direct about what I mean here. Self-care is not a reward for getting everything done. It's not a luxury you get when you've earned it. It is a load-bearing structure. It's the foundation that everything else can run on. Are you sleeping enough? Are you moving your body in a way that feels good? Are you eating things that give you energy instead of crashing you? What I found over the years is that movement specifically can look different depending on the season. It doesn't always have to look like a gym membership or a 5 a.m. run. I take early morning walks in the summer. I do yoga by candlelight on dark winter mornings. Having a few options available depending on the weather, energy, and mood means you're set up to succeed instead of shaming yourself because you committed to walk every morning and it's 15 degrees outside. I call this my morning menu instead of a routine. I put move my body on my to-do list instead of a specific exercise. That flexibility alone has made it stick so much better for me, and it might for you too. Start with something small and sustainable, like a 5-minute morning meditation, a 10-minute walk, quiet time with no phone. Consistency with self-care beats perfection every single time. Okay, tip number 6. The hardest line to draw in most entrepreneurs' lives is where work ends and everything else begins. And if you don't draw that line yourself, the work will just keep expanding. This means tech boundaries. Set specific work-free times in your day and protect them. After a certain hour, the phone goes on do not disturb. Email stays closed. Notifications stop. One thing that's made a real difference in our house is all phones and tablets get plugged in the kitchen by 7 p.m. Not in bedrooms, not on the couch, in the kitchen. It sounds simple, but it creates a real separation. You can also designate one area of your home as tech-free, like the dining room table, the bedroom, somewhere that's just for being present with whoever's there with you, including yourself. The work will still be there when you get back. You're allowed to fully leave it for a few hours. Tip number 7, you don't have to do everything yourself. I know this one is big, so I want to just talk about it with you for a second. Whole life balance doesn't mean you carry the whole load perfectly yourself. It means you stop treating every single thing as something only you can handle. Do you have to coach soccer? Do you have to make homemade cupcakes for the birthday party? Do you have to research the entire family vacation yourself? Probably not. And in your business, what are you doing that someone else could be doing? Or what are you doing that you really don't have to? This week, identify one thing you can delegate and one thing you can delete, like a task to a colleague, a household responsibility to a partner or one of your kids, an obligation you agreed to before you realized how much it would cost you. Hand it off and let it go. Or say no and let go of the guilt. Neither of these things is a failure. It's how you protect your capacity for what matters. And tip number 8, saying no and burnout. Burnout doesn't show up one day out of nowhere. It accumulates. It's 1,000 small yeses that shouldn't have been yeses until one day you're fantasizing about driving off somewhere with no phone and no calendar. The antidote isn't better time management. It's getting more intentional with what you agree to before it even gets on your plate. Here's a practical script that has saved me a lot of grief. When someone asks you to take something on, instead of answering in the moment, say, "Let me think about it, and I'll get back to you and let you know." That's it. That phrase buys you time to actually assess whether you want to do the thing instead of agreeing to it because you felt put on the spot. And if the answer is no, just say, "I'm sorry, I wish I could help, but I don't have the bandwidth right now." That's a full sentence. There's no elaboration needed. The goal is to make your default a no and reserve your yeses for the things that are genuinely life-giving and cup-filling for you. That's the version of saying no that prevents burnout instead of just managing burnout. Okay, and our last tip is about mindfulness without the buzzword baggage. I want to be real with you. Mindfulness has gotten so buzzwordy that a lot of people tune it out. But underneath the hype, what it's actually describing is just being present. And that's something that pays off in every area of your life. When you're constantly half present, you never get to rest. Even when you're resting, you never fully connect or disconnect, even when you're with the people you love. You never do your best work, even when you're at your desk. So here are 5 small practices that really work to tune into this mindfulness. Mindful breathing, a few minutes of focusing just on how the air feels coming in and going out. Simple and yet weirdly effective. Body scan meditation. Close your eyes and move your attention slowly from your feet up through your whole body. And just notice it. No fixing required. Mindful eating. This one is hard for me. Slow down enough to actually taste your food. This one sounds obvious until you realize how often you eat while doing something else entirely, like scrolling your phone or reading something. Gratitude journaling. Write down 3 things at the end of the day that you're grateful for. It shifts your brain towards what's working instead of what's not. And mindful walking. No earbuds, just your feet and whatever's around you. 10 minutes of that can genuinely reset a hard afternoon. Just pick one of these things and do it for 2 minutes before you switch to a different task. 10 tips sounds like a lot, so let me pull this together into something you can actually start right now with your reset and reclaim action step for the week. Do the brain dump. Everything on your plate, obligations, open to-dos, recurring appointments, stuff that's been sitting in the back of your head, errands, all of it. Write it all down. Don't organize it, just get it out. Once it's in front of you, look for one thing you can delete and one thing you can hand off. Everything else becomes your actual starting point for building your whole life, not just a to-do list. That's it, just start there. If this resonated, come join the Productivity Rebellion. It's my free monthly guide for women who are tired of holding everything together with duct tape and coffee. 1 email a month, 0 overwhelm. It's like tucking into your favorite magazine on Sunday morning. Sign up at carachace.com/productivity-rebellion. Thanks so much for listening. If this helped, please leave a review. It helps other women entrepreneurs find the show. I'm Cara Chace, reminding you to keep questioning the rules and making your own.